So 2 years ago, I actually lost everything myself. I pretty much hit rock bottom. Now, when I say everything, I mean money, savings, the house that I'd built up, and the general progression I'd built up in life. It almost just went in a whisper. I woke up one day and I said to myself, how the hell did I get here? I know a lot of it stemmed from the COVID-19 and the situation that was happening globally, but it also stemmed from a few of the stupid decisions that I'd made myself. I found myself broke and alone at 43 years old. That is not a nice place to be, and I know some of this is my fault. I also know that there are a lot of men out in the world that actually go through this themselves, so I know we're not alone in this. So fast forward to today, so pretty much in the space of 2 years, my life has changed so much and I'm much more positive now. I've actually gone from a position of being broke into earning pretty much a six-figure salary now, because I refused to give up and I refused to accept my situation. And I always knew if I kept going that life would say yes to me. So I just want to show you the steps that I took to get myself out of that rock bottom again and build my life up. Yes, I admit that my life is very different now, and I accept that I should have been in a different situation. But when I think about it, I'm actually in a better situation now than I probably ever have been, given the life that I've lived. So I'll take you through a few steps, and then if you want to listen to this or you just want to hear a story, then please stick around. So the first step that I took was just to sit with myself and accept the situation that I found myself in. I had to take stock of the mistakes that I'd made, write them on a piece of paper, just so I could keep reminding myself never to make those mistakes again. I also had to make peace with the fact that some of the situation and some of the things that had happened were out of my control and they weren't my fault. But as long as you realise the mistakes that you made, I do think that's a good foundation to move forward, getting out of your rock bottom. Money was the most important thing that I was focusing on, because without the money, I could not have moved forward. So I took stock of the losses that I had, I took stock of the situation, and I had to figure out how I could get money coming in straight away. So in the UK, we have something called Job Seekers Allowance. And if anybody watches this from a different country, drop a comment about what kind of social security you get or what kind of help from the state that you get if you're looking for work. So I signed on to Job Seekers Allowance. It's not a nice situation to go into the offices and be demeaned by the people that work there, but it had to happen. Every time I went in there, the people looked at my CV and they always questioned why I was there, and I just said, look, I've been through a bad time and I'm looking for work. Of course, I've got a master's degree and I've got a bachelor's degree, so the work that they were offering I was never going to take anyway, and they knew that as well. But they also were paying for my rent at the time as well, and a little bit of Job Seekers Allowance, which really helped to manage. While I was claiming the money, I was doing job searching every day, well, pretty much every day. I was facing a lot of setbacks with job searching, because one of the hurdles I was having to get over was explaining why I walked out of a previous job. That was to do with vaccine mandates, and that's the reason I walked out. So I was coming up against hurdles with hiring managers. But I just kept going with the job search. And I also took on a side gig while I was doing the job searching as well. So I was actually building furniture, because I used to do a little bit of furniture building, and that I actually sold quite a few of the items, and that I don't know, that made me about £2,000. I know it's brokey money, but hey, it helped at the time, and it actually gave me a purpose. So, you know, the action of actually building something with your hands and selling it to people and actually receiving cash in your hand, that was really, it made me feel happy again. And I had to actually have a physical anchor as well. So I really got into my health and fitness. Because I wasn't working, I actually really got into my fitness, and I took up running. Well, I say took up running, I really ramped up my running, and I started running half marathons actually where I live. I remember waking up one day and thinking, you know, fuck this shit. And I actually woke up and just ran 13.1 miles. And do you know what? It wasn't actually as hard as I thought. And that's another thing. If you think you can't do something, just give it a go, because you actually surprise yourself. And that the physical side of it really helped with my brain, and it really helped with my positivity. I really went hard in the gym, started doing more like calisthenics work, and that took the thought process of, because at the time I was thinking, will I ever get a job? Am I going to be broke for the rest of my life? And just having that physical outlet really did give me a positive vibe, and it really did help with my sleeping, and it really helped me wake up early in the morning and just crack on with that job searching as well. And I know it's sad to say, but I did isolate myself a little bit while I was going through this rock bottom moment, because I felt in my mind that people wouldn't understand the situation that I was in, or I felt like I might be ridiculed for making mistakes. And that, that's not a nice place to be. So there was only a couple of people that I really was hanging around with, people that I trusted, and people I knew that would not judge me for my situation. But I just wanted to stay away from drama and any situation that might trigger me, because I generally didn't want to be around people that, might have been doing really well in life. And I know that this is really difficult to say, but I didn't want anything to trigger me at the time. And I hope you can understand that. It's not that I was being horrible or I didn't want to hang around with people. It's just that I didn't want to be triggered, because I was afraid that it might send me into a spiral, given that I was kind of middle-aged and broke. So I was staying away from anything that might trigger me. I was staying away from like drinking situations, because I didn't want any drama in my life, because let's have it right, drink does bring drama. And I knew for a fact it would take me off my path. And I also stayed away from dating as well, because I knew in my mind that there was no point dating with a purpose, because how do you explain to a woman that's sat in front of you that, you went broke at 43? Because I don't think women would accept that. And, I'm not stupid. Now, I wouldn't want to put a woman through that, and I certainly wouldn't want to put myself through that. And by doing that, it gave me a lot of free time just to focus on myself, and I actually found a lot of peace from that. So I was just staying away from women at the same time, and staying away from dating. So after about 8 months of job searching, I actually hit my pot of gold. Well, I say pot of gold, I hit my lucky unicorn, because the final interview that I went for, I got a really positive vibe about it. And because I'd been through about 25 interviews, unsuccessful interviews prior to this, I was actually quite well rehearsed in going through that interview process. So I knew that at some point, all of that practice from the previous interviews would pay off at some point. I mean, how can it not, really? And I remember I think it was a few days after the interview, I went to do a little bit of food shopping, and I was actually thinking to myself, if I do not get this job right now, how am I going to survive? I think it was around about October time, and I was looking forward into the Christmas period, thinking, if I don't have a job now, I don't know what will happen to me at Christmas, because it was such a tough time. I did not know how I would even survive Christmas. But you know what? When I was actually out doing the food shopping, I got a phone call from a mobile phone number that I did not recognise. Picked the phone up, and it was the hiring manager, Lee, and I knew for a fact as soon as he called me that he wanted to offer me the job, because why would a hiring manager call you up just to decline you for the position? So anyway, yeah, I got offered the job on the phone, and do you know what? I was actually so happy. And even when I was doing the food shopping, I spent more money than what I planned on doing, because I knew that I would have money coming in. So I know this is not rocket science, and I know people get jobs day in, day out, but for me, it meant so much at the time, because I did not know which way I would turn if I did not get that job. Of course, I accepted the job. It wasn't ideal. It probably wasn't my perfect job, but I accepted it all the same, because I knew for a fact it would give me that springboard back into the workforce. I knew that it would give me a couple of paychecks before Christmas. So I got signed the contract, and I had a planned start date for the November, and I was getting ready to start the job. And then I got an email saying, sorry to say, Paul, but we won't need you to start until January. And I was like, shit, man. I was so built up in my mind about going to Christmas with having a couple of paychecks, and then that happiness had been taken away from me. So, and again, I couldn't control this, and I tried to negotiate with them, about whether I could work from home and do some like pre-learning, while I was getting paid, but they weren't prepared to do that, unfortunately. But you know what, at least I tried. And you know what, guys, there's no harm in asking anything, lads. So never be scared to ask anything, because you never know what might happen. Unfortunately for me, I didn't get the result that I wanted, but at least I tried. So yeah, that was another little setback, because I had to go into Christmas not having the money that I expected. But I still had the job, which was fantastic. So anyway, I started this job, and in my mind I was expecting to earn quite a lot of money from bonus, etc. And then the company went through quite a few issues. I mean, it's a big global company, so it wasn't like I was going to lose my job, but the division that I was working in, they were going through so many different changes and staff turnover that it kind of wasn't working out for me at all. So I wasn't earning the money that I was expecting. So I was just earning a basic salary really, and it was basically just money just to survive, really, just survival money. Yeah, I could put a little bit of money to the side, and after about 8 months in the job, I had, probably a few thousand in the bank, not loads. And then I faced another setback, because the gearbox in my car actually literally dropped out. Well, not dropped out, but it literally disintegrated in my car, and I needed my car for my work. So yeah, so that was another setback. I had to pay £5,700 for a new gearbox. So I recommend never buying Range Rover Evoques, because the gearboxes are shite. But it was almost like I was stepping forward. I had what I wanted, which was the job, the stability, and the money coming in. But I faced another setback. There was nothing that I could do about it. I just had to pay the money out of the savings that I built up and move forward. So if there's anybody out there that goes through that kind of 10 steps forward and then 20 steps back scenario, I know what it feels like. I've been there, but you've just got to get on with it, because after that scenario, having to pay out the money for the gearbox, fast forward a few more months and I'd just forgotten about it. So I just, the lesson is just move forward from that setback again. I was with that company for literally 2 years, and I was becoming frustrated with the situation. And so there was a guy that used to work on the same team as me at the company. He left pretty much when I started, but we remained friends actually, and we're still friends to this day, and we do a lot of walking around the Peak District in the UK. And he called me one day and told me that there was a job in his new company. And I sat and thought about it. I sat and thought about why I was hanging on with a company that were not giving me what I needed. Because although I was getting a decent salary, it was still only survival money. And it wasn't giving me what I wanted. And what I really wanted was to buy my own house again and have more savings. So I actually went through the job interview process with my now current company, and I got the job within about 3 weeks. I performed really well. So as we all know, once you get back into work, that gives you the confidence and the mindset to go for another job. And we all know it's easier to get a new job when you're actually in a job. So if you agree with that, then drop me a comment. The reason, and like I said, the reason that I changed, because the previous company wasn't giving me the resources that I need to move forward. And just like with relationships, if you're not getting what you need from that relationship, then you have to question why you're in that relationship with that person. And it's the same with jobs as well. So anyway, in my new job, I'm earning much more money on a basic salary. So I'm earning more than survival money now. And I've actually got guaranteed bonus as well. So I'm pretty much earning a 6-figure salary now. So it just goes to show, you never know what might happen. And I wouldn't be here today if I'd have given up and I'd stuck with that company, hoping that things might change. So another lesson I learned from this is you've got to look after yourself in life. And if you're going through a rock bottom situation, or you might have lost everything, you might just have to use a company just to springboard yourself back up to a level that you need to get to. And I hate to say that I use companies because I don't like thinking that way, but this is the way of the world now. And with how expensive everything is, and certainly buying a house or a car, you've got to do what you can to get as much money as you can. And actually, I'm happy to say now that I feel like I'm out of rock bottom. Yeah, I might not have the things that I used to have, but I'm out of rock bottom. I feel much better about life. I'm in a job where I can excel and earn very, very good money. Yeah, I'm a single bloke. I don't have children or don't have my own family, so most of that money is for me. And who knows where I might go from here. I'm actually going through a mortgage process right now to buy my own house again because I've been renting for the last 5 years. And that wasn't a very nice situation because I did own my own house in Norwich and then when I lived in Manchester, and I had to give all that up. I lost all the money that I didn't lose it, I spent it all just traveling and, giving up on myself. But now I'm in a situation where I can actually get back on the property ladder, and that's all I've ever wanted. None of what I've said is actually rocket science, and it's quite simple really. If you find yourself in a bad place, if you find that you're in rock bottom or what feels like rock bottom, or you feel like you've lost everything, trust me, you haven't lost everything, because if you're alive, if you're fit and you're healthy and you've got a good head on your shoulders, then there's no reason why you can't turn your life around. You're going to have to forget the losses. You're going to have to forget about your old life, because if you want to have a new life, it can be much better than what you even anticipated. So I'm not here to preach. I'm just here to say that I've been through that rock bottom. I've been through, that process of losing everything, and I've turned my life around. And all it was focusing on the right things, which was, how can I get the most money? How can I springboard myself into a position where I can actually, get the things back in life that are important to me? It's easy to focus on your fitness, really easy. And you know what? You can even try new things like running the half marathons and really show yourself in the world what you can do. And I'm a big believer that as men, nobody cares about what we're going through. Maybe your mother does, maybe your grandmother does, but they don't want to see you at a low point. So I don't think there's many people in life that care about you as much as you should care about yourself. And I know rock bottom's difficult, and I know it's difficult to lose everything, but I believe in myself, and I hope by me putting this video out there that you can at least take some inspiration from that. There are 1,000,001 ways to improve your life. 1,000,001 ways. I would say choose what works best for you given your current circumstances. Now, I know that everybody's rock bottom is different, and I'd love to hear some stories. I want to talk to people and find out what people's rock bottoms are. And I certainly want to know what steps they took and, how your life has turned out, because it's up to you. You can either sit and cry about it, or you can pull your socks up, get back on that horse and try again and keep trying and trying and trying. So thanks for your time today. And I really, really hope that if you are in rock bottom, you can see that you can get out of it. So I'll see you next time. Good luck.
I'm the terror in the system, the one you fear. When I step in the game,